Good day to Doctor and my fellow friends. We are from Tutorial 3 Group 3. Today, we will discuss about Chapter 8, Managing Human Resources and Diversity. Before we start our presentation, let me introduce my group members. I am ELAINE Wang and my group members are Ng Chi Chi, Miu Fang Ying, Lo Wei Ling, Lim Jia Yi, Tiang Na Li, Go Hui Ying, EZEKIEL Wong Ting Ong, and Ro Tong Li. For this presentation, we will discuss about 5 questions, 10 points of summary, and a case application.
Hi everyone, I'm Ro Tong Li. Now I'm going to discuss the first question: how does human resource management affect all managers? First of all, we must know why human resource management is very important. There are 3 points. The first one is managers rely on people to achieve all their strategic goals and need human resource management. The second one is human resources are the first results. Compared to other resources, only human resources are the most subjective. The third one is human resource management is not a matter for the human resource department itself. It requires the cooperation of all departments from top to bottom of the company. Now we are going to talk about what benefits does a manager bring to a company when he or she manages people well. The first one is fully mobilize the enthusiasm of enterprise employees. Scientific human resources management can effectively mobilize the enthusiasm of the employees of the enterprise. One of the key words for motivating employees is motivation, which is the core of development of human resources in enterprises. The second one is realize the expansion of the human capital of the enterprise. All the resources of an enterprise are divided into 3 main parts: human resources, material resources, and financial resources, of which human resources are the core elements of enterprise development. The third one is the faster accomplishment of business objectives. Scientific human resources development and management can greatly mobilize the enthusiasm of enterprise staff and help develop their potential to the maximum extent, thus effectively improving the efficiency of the staff, realizing the purpose of making the best use of things and people, and achieving the purpose of maximizing enterprise profits more quickly. The fourth one is continuously improve the competitiveness of enterprises. Enterprises of strengthen the development and training of human resources, improve human resources management, can help enterprises to obtain stronger competitive strengths with high quality, excellent talents, can constantly inject fresh vitality and impulse to the enterprises. It's conducive to the enterprise to improve the development strategy and promote the long-term development of enterprises. That's all. Let's go to the next question, which will be presented by ELAINE.
Good day everyone, my name is ELAINE and I will be discussing about question 8-2, discuss the external environmental factors that most directly affect the human resource management process. Before we proceed to our question, let us discuss about the external environment factors that we have learned in Chapter 4. We can notice that the entire human resource management process is influenced by the external environment. Many of the factors we have discussed in Chapter 4 directly affect all management practices, but their effect is keenly felt in managing the organization's human resources because whatever happens to an organization ultimately influences what happens to its employees. There are 6 external environment factors that we have learned, which are political, legal, social, cultural, global, technological, demographics, and economic. Now, let's go back to our question, which is discuss about the external environmental factors that most directly affect the human resource management process. The condition of the current economy is one of the major external factors. This is because the stability of the current economy can affect a company's ability to hire any employees at all, in addition to having an influence on talent pool. One of the biggest ways to prepare against the economic crisis is to know what's happening in the world around us and create a plan to face the economic downturn. If a company has a rainy day fund or a strategy to deal with the challenging environment, it can survive in any economic climate. The next factor that we will be discussing is the political factor. For instance, government regulations. Human Resources Department is under pressure to obey the law as a result of the introduction of new workplace compliance standards. We can see that all HR department processes, including hiring, training, remuneration, termination, and many others, are impacted by this kind of legislation. Therefore, if a business doesn't follow these rules, they may incur heavy fines, which in extreme cases could also force the business to be closed. The third factor we will be discussing is the technological advancements. This is considered as an external influence because HR department may start considering about downsizing and cost-saving measures when new technologies are introduced. A work that previously required 2 or 4 persons might be completed by 1 person only. Technology is transforming now and how we conduct the business, not just from the perspective of the consumer, but also in terms of internal cost reduction. The last factor that we will be discussing is the workforce demographics. The HR department must formulate different kinds of strategies to attract a new group of candidates, as an older generation will be retired and the younger generation will be entering the profession. They need to hire in a different way and provide the younger generation with different types of pay rates. They must also provide a workplace that is conducive to this way this generation works. In conclusion, there are four main factors that directly affect the human resource management process, which are economic conditions, political, technological advancements, and workforce demographics. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. I'm Ngalin. Now let's proceed to the question 3. The statement is, some critics claim that corporate HR departments have outlived their usefulness and are not there to help employees but to shift the organization from legal problems. I spread the question into 3 points, which are, what do you think? What benefits are there to having a formal human resource management process, and what are the drawbacks? Proceed to the question. Let's take a look at the human resource management process. Before that, what is human resource management? It's the management function concerned with getting, training, motivating, and keeping competent employees. So from the diagram, we can see the process from the green box, which are planning, recruitment and downsizing, selection, orientation, training and development, performance management, compensation and benefits, and safety and health. What do you think? I think I disagree with the statement. Why? We know that the primary environmental force that affects an organization is the legal environment. SRM practices are governed by laws which vary from country to country. The stricter the law, the caution the managers to when hiring. So, the quality of an organization is to a large degree determined by the quality of the people it employs. So, SRM decisions and actions are critical to ensuring that the organization hires and keeps the right people. So, once the organization has selected the people they want, and the HR need to help them to adapt to the organizations and ensure that their job skills and knowledge are kept current. So, HR also ensure that the equal employment opportunities. This is also like decisions regarding who will be hired, for example, or which employees will be chosen for a management training program must be made without regard to the sex, race, religion, age, color, national origin, or disability. Employment law protect most employees. For example, the organizations require a specific style of dress when the worker is working. So law and regulations have significantly help to reduce employment discriminations and unfair employment practice, and improve employee safety. They have, at the same time, reduced management discretion over HR decisions. What benefits are there to having a formal HRM processes? First, right number and kind of people in the right place and time when the employment planning. So, people who are capable of effectively and efficiently completing those tasks will help the organizations achieve its goals. Employment planning then translates the organization missions into a HR plan that will allow the organization to achieve their goals. Second is building skills. This will improving ability of employees in performing their job and do their job better. If the company invests in providing the training and education necessary to build skill and increase their capacity, the company will be able to achieve more high quality work with the people that they currently have on staff rather than having a rely on the outside contractor. So when the particular skills are necessary and in scarce supply, the availability of needed human resources determine revenues. Next is increasing the retentions. If the company show their employees that they value and them enough to invest time and resource in giving the employees the tools they need to grow, they are more likely to stay in the company over time. Not only will make their job more interesting, but also show them that the company value their work and their tenure. Lastly, what are the drawbacks? First, the process requires high costs and expenses. For example, when the training process and orientation process take place. Second, most training take place on the job. Why? Because it's simple and usually costs less. However, on-the-job training can disrupt the workplace and result in increasing in error which learning take place. Also, some skill training is too complex to learn on the job and must take place outside the work setting. Third is unpredictability. Although human resource planning has the potential to give business a greater degree of stability by building the skill of their workforce, there is no guarantee that the workers they train will stay long enough in their company for them to reap the benefits and investment. That's all from me. Thank you.
Good day to you all. My name is HOOI, and now I will explain about questions 4. Do you think it's ethical for a prospective employer to delve into an applicant's life by means of interviews, tests, and background investigations? What if those investigations involve looking at your Facebook page or personal blogs? Explain your position. Okay, from my perspective, I agree and feel ethical for the employer to delve into an applicant's life by means of interviews, tests, and background investigations. So, firstly, interviews is an important process to hire a worker. Is it? Yes, this is because interview can gather useful information about potential candidates that cannot be accessed from one's resume. Employer also can have the ability to measure the communication skills, basic maths, and problem-solving ability of a worker. Secondly, pre-employment testing and assessment is one of the most objective ways of predicting job performance and company fit. This is because the test is more objective, so that this can help the company to do the better decisions of hiring a worker. Besides that, hire the right candidate, you will also improve overall productivity and effectiveness of your teams. Last but not least, conducting background checks will also help to avoid harm or legal liability of various types to the employer or the others. I think that it's not ethical if those investigations involve looking at your Facebook page or personal blogs. According to the Careers and ZEC website, there are 70% of employers will check out an applicant's social media history before offering a candidate an interviews. So, why I feel it's not ethical is because of background investigations of personal life are not necessary, and the second one is employer maybe will judge someone based on a post that is often without context or a reply. For example, one photo of a glass of wine doesn't mean that they are drunkard, as well as doesn't it imply poor character. The third one will be employer decision making could be unconsciously biased by what they see. For example, some employers maybe won't employ a worker that just announced that she is pregnant. It is because they may have a little nagging thought of, oh, she go on maternity leave within the year. If I hire her, unconsciously bias will be happen to the pregnant.
Hi everyone, I'm Ruotong. Now I'm going to discuss the advantages and drawbacks of the various recruiting sources. Above all, we have to know recruiting sources is divided into internal recruitment and external recruitment. The advantages of internal recruitment is that it increases employee motivation. Internal candidates identify with the organization's goals and are less likely to be lost. Orientation process, less training required. And the disadvantages are inbreeding, not conducive to innovation, not very competitive, or sometimes leads to unhealthy competition. The advantages of external recruitment is that it can breathe new life into the business, incorporate different ideas, and facilitate marketing. It can enhance competitiveness. The disadvantages are new employees need to attend training to complete the orientation process, and a low sense of corporate identity among new employees can lead to attrition, which is not conducive to a more stable workforce. That's all for my presentation. Now let's go into the next question, which will be presented by Qiqi.
Now I will discuss the 10 summary points of the case study. Organizational issues are brought on by both overt workplace bias and unconscious bias, which can be more subtle and challenging to identify in ourselves and others. Examples of unconscious bias stated in the case study are assuming a pupil wouldn't be a good candidate for management training program because he doesn't look like a manager, or assuming an introvert person will not come up with helpful opinions because he always stays quiet during a discussion. Two young black males recently met in a Starbucks in downtown Philadelphia to go over a real estate deal they had been working on for months. The manager had informed one of the young men who requested to use the restroom that only paying customers were permitted to use the facilities. After knowing the man refused to order, the manager called the police and both black males are arrested even though they did nothing wrong. Social media uproar has caused the CEO of Starbucks to issue an apology and even fire the worker who had called the police. He also claimed that he will take actions to fix the bias problems. Starbucks had reviewed the company's policies, which vary among its 28,000 locations worldwide. Starbucks also closed all of its more than 8,000 domestic locations to hold anti-bias training for all employees. Unconscious bias, according to academic scholars who have researched it, can be recognized and minimized through training. That's all from me. Thank you.
Good day, Doctor and my fellow friends. I am FANG YING from Tutorial 3, Group 3. I'll answer question 11, which is, what is the focus of the training for Starbucks employees and why is this training important? The focus of the training for Starbucks employees is to guide employees in recognizing their unconscious bias, help employees identify ways to minimize unconscious bias, and make employees aware of their unconscious bias. This training is important because it promotes rational thinking in decision making. It gives manager information that opposes stereotypes and allows them to connect with people whose experiences are different with them. Hence, manager will be aware of the unconscious bias and take steps to slow down their decision making. This allowed them to make decisions using their more logical brain rather than their gut instinct, which can be affected by bias. As a result, they will work towards inclusion by becoming more aware of hidden biases and taking steps to reduce the effects of biases on others. Besides, this training is important because it can protect company reputation from public outcry. After a social media outcry, Starbucks CEO apologized for the incidents and conducted anti-bias training. These several actions show Starbucks' initiative in combating the influence of unconscious bias in future. As a result, this can prevent Starbucks' reputation stains in future and maintain a positive customer and community relationship. That's all from me. Thank you. I'll pass the floor to Jia.
Good day everyone, my name is Jai. Now I will continue to discuss the question 812. What is unconscious racial bias and why is it a problem for organizations? What is unconscious or implicit bias? It refers to the human tendency to form opinions about others without having enough relevant information. Bias can stem from stereotypes, preconceived notions, past experiences, or gut instinct. So unconscious bias occurs when an individual is unaware of a prejudice. Unconscious racial bias is a major example of implicit bias. In other words, it refers to have an automatic preference for one race over another without even being aware of this bias. So why unconscious racial bias is a problem for organization? Unconscious racial bias will cause negative impact on recruitment decisions in hiring process. Bias can lead to generalizations that determine the right candidate for the job, not based on their skills, but on the perceived origin of their name or nationality. A study found that white-sounding names are 75% more likely to get an interview than identical resumes with Asian-sounding names. The same study found that white-sounding names are 50% more likely to get an interview request than identical resumes with black-sounding names, and 25% more likely than Latino-sounding names. There will continue to be a problem with racial bias in hiring until identical resumes receive identical interest from employers regardless of a candidate's name. With time, this can lead to a weaker workforce as people with skills may be rejected from the hiring process. Other from that, unconscious bias also wastes the potential of an employee. This is because if someone is promoted based on a bias, the entire organization will suffer from it. Less able employees may be placed in a position of power, while a more able one will be rejected because of racial bias. This might make the employee quit their current job and start looking in another place, causing the company unconscious growth. In short, unconscious bias will bring negative impact of an organization. That's all from me, thank you.
Now I shall be discussing the next question, which is, besides the incentive in-store training for the employees, what other things could Starbucks do in order to create a more sensitive in-store experience for their customers? First of all, the establishment of task groups that deal with diversity appears to be an effective way to create a better in-store experience because they put individuals side by side working on something. We should ensure that the restaurant crews are as diverse as possible so that we have a basic understanding of the cultures of where your customers come from and might make employees a little more cautious on making any conclusion about someone and something, and also whether to take actions or not. Having employees from different backgrounds and different culture also helped to lessen racial prejudice and stereotyping, particularly among those who had not much experience in equal opportunity workplaces. Besides that, Starbucks can conduct celebration of festivals of every races, not only the common ones like Chinese New Year, Hari Raya Aidilfitri and Deepavali, but also Kamatan and Dayak Festival. Special events such as National Coming Out Day and COD for the LGBT community also can be celebrated. By doing so, Starbucks can increase opportunities for interactions with people from various groups, attending activities where people of other racial ethnic groups gender identities, sexual orientations, and other groups may be present to enlarge the brand's social circle and also build employees' cultural competence to lead to a better understanding of the other culture. Employees can also learn that the importance of being respectful towards every individual. Not only that, but Starbucks can also consider building a partnership with their customers to foster their relationship. By having a local entrepreneurship program, Starbucks can acknowledge the talent and also the knowledge of its customer without taking their age, gender, and race into account. Customer will feel respected and comfortable by having a company that truly appreciates their work and ability. This is also an opportunity for Starbucks to seek for talented employees and wonderful ideas for future plans. So in short, Starbucks is suggested to hire employees from different backgrounds to celebrate festivals with customers so that they feel included in the society, and also to create partnership with customers as a recognition of their hard work in order to create a more sensitive in-store experience.
Hi everyone, my name is Ezekiel. I'll be talking about question 814. What can you learn from this story that benefit you personally and professionally? First of all, let's look at what I've learned personally from this story. I've learned not to judge a book by its cover. We should not judge or make assumptions about someone we don't know for sure. Stereotype and bias is hurtful to others since those only represent a brief understanding about a certain group of people, and most of the time, the stereotype is far away from the truth. For example, in the article, black men are always taken for suspect when there is a crime. Or another example is Asian were always taken as good at math. Meanwhile, it might completely not be the case in real life. Let's move on to what I've learned professionally from this story. In workplaces too, bias should not be a part of work culture, as they deny personalities and abilities. Everyone is born unique and different, and no kind of labels or stereotypes should be used to identify the ability of a person. For example, for a long period of time, women have been taken as incapable of handling complex tasks as well as men. However, in the reality, when given the chance, women are as capable as men. Therefore, bias and stereotypes are not only bad for society, and it is also affecting the company's performance, as they might undermine the potential of other people and might lose the future economic gain of the organization. That's all from me for this question. Let's move on to the next person.
Good day everyone, I'm YING and now I'm going to discuss question 815, which is implicit bias an ethical or social responsibility issues? Make a decision and defend your opinion. If so, explain why, and if not, why not? So before I get into the point, for information, I'll explain some important meaning in this question. First, what is implicit bias? Implicit bias, also known as an unconscious bias, which is that unconsciously, and we also use such bias, but we don't really realize or notice that we are doing this. Implicit bias is not very directly observed compared with another bias. For instance, implicit bias such as race bias, gender bias, and sexuality bias. Second, what is ethical issue? Ethical issue is a set of moral principles that govern a company's or person's behavior. Third, what is social responsibility? Social responsibility is an ethical framework in which individuals or corporations are accountable for fulfilling their civic duty and taking action that benefits society. So my answer for this question is social responsibility. This is because our unconscious mind is turned by the social factor and large affected by the environment of the society. If the society is taking responsibility to address such inequality that exists in society and are very deep-rooted, we will end such bias in our day-to-day life and action. In this case, mentioned that the two young black men meet at the Starbucks and one young man asked to use the restroom in the Starbucks, but the manager said restroom only for paying customer, which is customer who buy the Starbucks food and drinks. Eventually, manager called the police and two men were arrested on suspicion of trespassing. As we know, Starbucks vision is treat people like family and they will be loyal and give their all. So in my perspective, I think manager didn't accomplish this vision because he or she made a wrong decision by implicit bias, an unconscious attitude, belief or association that attributes certain characteristics or quality to any group of people in society. This refers as stereotyping. Stereotype is about the skin color. For example, in this case, the manager thinks black men are bad guys even though they do not think it's only because his skin colors. In short, I think social responsibility will affect such an implicit bias happen in our daily life. That's all for our group. Thank you for attention.